Good afternoon everyone, it's Yvette Adams here from the Creative Collective, and thanks for joining us today for a session on search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO. We're very proud to be bringing you this session on behalf of the Department of Employment, Economic Development and Innovation. This is what we've got in store for you today. Just going to do a quick intro and orientation, and a huge extra welcome to those who this is the first time doing a webinar or doing one with that DD provides. We'll then go through some key points and there will be time for questions at the end. Now, just to be upfront, you would have received an email encouraging you to download a workbook and work through that, or at least take a look at it prior to the session. I can tell you that that workbook is still in production. We expect it to be done in the next day or two. So don't worry, you don't need to have that knowledge on hand prior to the session, but it will become a really valuable resource to work through after the session, and it will be emailed to all of you. So for those of you who inquired about that, that's the status. I also want to be upfront on search engine optimization. As a company, the Creative Collective do have a lot of experience in building websites and performing search engine optimization on other people's websites. However, my experience is more as a project manager and doing some training in this topic. So whilst I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have on this, if there's something I can't answer, I'll certainly take it down and respond to you via email post the session. But here's a slide on me. So Yvette Adams, that's what I look like. I've won quite a few business awards along the way, probably the most prestigious of which was the Commonwealth Bank Business Owner of the Year at the Telstra Businesswomen's Awards in Queensland last year. And our company's also won the Creative and Knowledge-Based Industries here on the Sunshine Coast where we're based. And also a Home-Based Business Award we won last year at the Marketing Communications Awards. However, we've just recently moved into new premises, so I'm streaming from you live today from our new premises in Maroochydore. Very exciting. Look, I have a lot of business experience. The Creative Collective is my fourth business I've started. The first one was when I was 17, and it was a secondary school sports newspaper I started in Wellington, and I'm from Wellington, New Zealand, which is my accent. I then went on to create an e-commerce website for t-shirts in 2002. There was a Yummy Mummy online education portal in between, and the Creative Collective. So I hope these experiences of starting businesses, creating websites, performing search engine optimization on them and for clients is useful information I can share with you today. So you can see as well that we work with startups right through to large corporates, not just locally here in Maroochydore, but right across Australia, and even have international clients. I also have two children. They're aged 4 and 7. My business was started, this one, the Creative Collective, when my 4-year-old was just born. So if you're a parent juggling the demands of wearing all the hats in a small business and being a parent, I do sympathise, because that's me too. But I really love training and assisting others, so I'm really glad you've got on today. We've got a really big audience, which is exciting. So far, 78 people logged on, and I reckon we might have a few more jump on before the session's out as well. So anyway, let's get into the session, and I just want to highlight that a little link to a video was sent out to you to know how to use this software. But in your top right of your screen, you should be able to see a little red arrow. And if you can see that, I'd like you to click on that now, because that will expand the rest of the menu. And when you can see the rest of the menu expanded, you should see a little plus sign next to questions. And via that, if I ask you to text something in, or if you've just got a question that you want answered, we can certainly answer you in that way. You'll also notice that you're able to put your hand up. So I would like all of you to try and locate the little hand button and show me that you're listening and not already asleep by just raising your hand right now. Great, lots of you are. Scott, Will has, Sandy, Ross, excellent. So that's a good way to interact with me. So to know if I say, does this apply to you? Have you done this? You can raise your hand. And final point, do put the hand down by clicking on it again once that question has been answered, so we know you're not still waiting. So we'll put your hands down now. We'll get started. Okay, search engine optimization. I'm not going to presume anything here. I'm going to presume that you've just landed down from Mars and don't know what it means at all. So SEO, as you can see on screen, is the process of improving the visibility of a website or a web page in search engines via the natural or unpaid, also known as organic or algorithmic search results. Now there's some big words in there, and I'm going to show you a visual in the next slide if you're more of a visual person to explain it. But I think we all get the point that search engine optimization is pretty important for not only a successful website, but actually a successful business these days. Because it doesn't matter if you've got the prettiest website in the world, you know, it's designed by the best designer, it looks gorgeous. If nobody can see it, if nobody can find it, it's not really going to do your business any favours at all. And the ideal scenario with SEO, which unfortunately a lot of business owners learn the hard way, is that it's ideal if you can consider it at the very initial stages of building your website or revamping your website. It's not something that is as easy to add on to once a website's already created. So at this point, I'd just like to get to know you. Could you raise your hands if you already have a website and you believe that it is already optimized to some degree, and you're just on here to learn a bit of extra information? Hands up, we have a website, we're optimized. Let's see how many. I reckon it's about a third of you, which is pretty interesting. Go up the line. Yeah, still lots of you that don't. Well, I'm sure you'll get a lot of tips today, and even if you do have an optimized website, as you'll know well, it's a never-ending game. You have to keep chipping away at it. So I hope in today's presentation I can give you a few tips on other things you could be doing to improve your rankings. Now remember when I just said in the last slide I would explain SEO to you in a more visual way? Let's say I'm online and I'm searching for a builder and maroochydore. Maybe I need some repairs done on my home or in my office or something like that. You can see these arrows here, and if you just watch my little cursor, the search term, if I'm referring to that, is what gets typed into here. Now Google AdWords, we're not talking about that today. I want to be very clear on that, which is also known as PPC or pay per click. If you were doing advertising with Google via Google AdWords, that would display here, or, whoopsie, I'll go back a slide, down here. Sometimes you'll see a lot of ads down there as well. Now what you'll notice, and this is a change, and Google changes the way it displays results quite regularly. So once upon a time when you searched something, it would just be listings, all listed here. These days, as you'll notice, Google Maps take up quite a significant chunk of what we call the first screen. So what that tells us is that we actually should be optimizing on Google Maps as well. We should be getting ourselves on there as a business, filling out the listing, and doing what we can to get business from it. Now we've got another session all about that and more. It's called Local Search Marketing on June 6th. So I'm not talking about that today either. We like to really hone in on the topic. What I'm talking about is this SEO stuff down there. So if you'd like to be the very first person on the list, or the second, or certainly on page 1, because I'll tell you right now, not many people look at page 2 or 3. Ask yourself, do you ever? Then some of the things I'm about to share is what we'll be covering. Just out of curiosity, if you could all put your hands down if they're still up from the last question. My next question for you today is if you are actually already on Google Maps. Just out of curiosity, how many people are getting into that? Apparently I've lost audio. I don't know if you can hear me. We're just seeing if we can get that back. Okay, I'm not sure where we got up to, but I'll just repeat the last line, and that was, I'm curious if you could put your hand up again if you have Google Maps and your business is listed on Google Maps already. So a few hands going up there, but there's a few that aren't. So once again, I'd encourage you to get on that session on the 6th of June, and we'll tell you how to get on there. For those of you who are already on, we'll tell you more about what you can do with those listings once they're on, because there's quite a few good functions. Right, remember that big word algorithms I mentioned before? Well, algorithms is the way that Google renders results, and the way algorithms work is constantly changing. You will sometimes meet search engine optimization experts who say, oh, the Google algorithm's doing this now, or the algorithm's doing that. It's my belief that sometimes people really in the know do know what they're talking about. For instance, I interviewed a guy a wee while ago, and he regularly goes to Mountain View, California, to the Googleplex, and he's pretty much on the inside of Google. I believe what he thinks is happening with the algorithms is worth listening to, but not everybody does. A lot of the times they're guessing, and good on Google. They keep it a guessing game so that really it keeps it a nice even playing field. Now, this has not always been the case, but these days, if you want up-to-date information, the best I can tell you is that it actually depends who you are, when and where you search, as to what results are displayed. Because if you ever search the exact same thing from perhaps home, office, perhaps interstate, or perhaps international, you'll probably find you get different results. Because what Google does is it thinks it's being helpful, and if you're based in, say, London, it thinks, well, you're probably going to want sites in London or the UK certainly, if that's what you're looking for. So that's why it does it. It also does track what sorts of searches you are making on a regular basis, and it knows what you're interested in and tries to be helpful in that way as well. Now, another important note to understand as we get into this is that the number of words in searches is increasing, as you can see on this little graph here. So way back in July 08, the average was 2.9 words, so near on 3 words. And I know it's only 3.2, but if you think to yourself the way you search on Google these days, once upon a time you might have just put in builder, mightn't you? These days you might put in, like I had before, builder Marucci door, and I'll tell you 1 in 4 searches in Google usually have something location based. So there's a tip for you. If you're a local business looking for local market, then maybe you should be including words related to your area. Now, people are even going further than that, and sometimes they're optimizing, for instance, for builder, Marucci door hanging, for instance, if that's the function that they want. And certainly the more specific you can be, the better the results Google gives you. So it's trying to be helpful there, and this is something we need to understand. Out of interest, just on that point, I said I know I use more words per search. Do you, as a person searching on Google? Raise your hand if the number of words you type into Google searches has increased over time, as you realise it's going to give you better results. Certainly quite a few hands there. Good, because we all use it ourselves, don't we? Okay, moving on to this. Now, I get asked regularly, how do you get your website up high on the search engines? And people expect a one-line answer, or certainly a 5-minute answer. But unfortunately, as you'll discover through today's webinar, it's not one particular thing. There's a number of factors which impact on where you rank on a search engine, and that is for one keyword or a combination of keywords. And you could well perform well for one keyword or a combination of keywords called a key phrase and not on another one. So you need to be really strategic about how you go about this. But if you want an answer as to why your website doesn't perform and your competitors does right now today, one factor that comes into it is on the first bullet point there is the domain age. So that is the website address, also known as the URL. Depends basically when that was purchased and came into effect. So if you're quite a new business, maybe you've been going a year, and maybe your competitor's been going 5 years with a website, chances are they're going to rank higher because they've been around for longer. But then there's other factors concerned as we move down the list. The next thing that Google ranks is page rank. Now, Google came up with this way of rating websites, and it basically gives you a score out of 10. Of course, it gives itself a 10 out of 10. And for other sort of very established websites that a lot of people go to, they're pretty well put together. For instance, say Commonwealth Bank, pretty popular site because everyone's going on there doing their net banking and so on. They get about a 7 out of 10 last I looked at it. So in the workbook we'll be sending out in a couple of days after this webinar, there's an exercise where you can download toolbar.google.com and actually analyse what is your page rank right now. What is the page rank, the number out of 10, for your home page? What is it for inside pages that are important to your business? And you can also do this for your competitors' websites. So that's something that's publicly available. So if you're going, how hard will it be to compete with, say, this guy that's always number 1 on the search engines in my field, that's a little bit of analysis you can do to find out how hard it will be. Domain backlinks and the weight of the backlink, we will explain this a little further, but a common mistake with search engine optimization is that people think if they go and put lots and lots of links on their website, that will improve how their website comes up. It's actually the opposite. It's the number of links coming into your site. So they're known as incoming links or backlinks. And not only the number of them, but the weight of them. So if you had a backlink, let's say your mate Jim has a paint shop and you've got a backlink from his site. You cut the deal at the pub and he says, yeah, I'll backlink to you, no problem. You're a mate of mine. Well, that's all very well and good. But if Jim's website is ranked a 1 by Google, that's really not going to do a lot at all. Conversely, if you could get a directory which has a really high page rank linking back to you, that's going to be a lot more effective. So what we encourage people to do with search engine optimization is to chase high page rank backlinks, basically. Now the next point on that is important too. If you if you're eligible to get a .edu.au website or a .gov.au website, which you have to be in government for, or if you have people in these fields that can backlink to you, these are really powerful backlinks because Google knows there's a process to go through to get those particular URLs, and it recognises that those people are reputable, established, and it will generally improve your search engine rankings. So, you know, let's say you run a training and you affiliate with an RTO who has a .edu.au website, you can get your website listed on there, pointing back to yours. That would be really helpful. And there are some government directories, like councils often have business directories where you can list your site, so consider checking that out and approaching them and getting on those. Sometimes other government departments do too, so check those out. Next one on the list is DMOZ, and often my experience is, hands up actually out of interest, who's heard of DMOZ? Is anyone using it, know of it already? A couple of people? Not very common though. Okay, DMOZ is the largest open directory, human-edited directory, and it's been around for years. So go check it out if you like now. This is the cool thing. I can't see what you're doing, and I'm quite happy if it helps your learning that you'll go and type in dmoz.org and keep listening to me. As you'll see when you get there, it's just a really big directory. It doesn't look pretty, doesn't even look that professional, but Google and other search engines do pull listings from there. They recognise it as very important. So just make sure you get yourself listed. Now you can only get yourself listed in one category, and as you'll note when you go in there, you can list by region, by service, and if you're anything like me and you offer a few different services, it can be kind of hard to decide which one to list yourself in. But my encouragement would be to just go through and work out the best one and list yourself. Now Yahoo also has a directory, and I would encourage you to go list on there. Now they actually charge. DMOZ is free. Now last I knew, there might even be a free option available on the Yahoo. They keep changing these things. There's also a $199 US listing. I believe it's not a bad investment because, again, the search engines pull from it. It means that you're more credible. So there are two ways that you can improve your optimization as well. Now there's also on-page optimization, which we'll go into more in a moment, where you optimize by putting keywords in your title, URL, description, headers, etc. Just hold that thought. That's optimizing metadata on page, which we'll go into in future slides. Now I want to highlight though these orange italicized points down there. They're newer trends to this whole optimization thing. So, you know, prior to say maybe, I don't know, 2008 or something like that, they were the points that if you said how to optimize my site, that would have been my answer. These days though, as I've mentioned, the algorithms have changed and they actually look at the browser history. You know, what other sites has the searcher looked at, the location, and here's a really important, interesting point, social graph and social authority. What that means is that how active you are on the social networks, yes, the Twitters, the Facebooks, etc., the YouTubes, the LinkedIns, can impact on how your website ranks as well. I don't know if any of you have Googled yourself recently, your first name and last name, and or your company name, and or in any important products or trademarks, brands that are related to your business. Go do that and you'll be amazed at how many Facebook sites and LinkedIn sites come up on that. So if you haven't got into social media yet, that's another compelling reason to take a serious look at it, because I feel it's all going very much that way. And if you missed it, we actually did a webinar on that topic on the 4th of April. That was recorded and it's available on the Creative Collective YouTube site, so you can go and download it and watch it again in your leisure. And there's certainly workbooks available via DD to work through some exercises related to that too. But just understand it's a factor in SEO now, very much so. Okay. Now, with all of this in mind, how do you actually go about it? What do you do to optimize your site and in what order? Would anybody like to know that? Would like to know the answer to how to do it? Only a couple of you. I hope you haven't gone to sleep. No, I think most of you really would. Okay, let's get onto this. Well, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to research what keywords you're going for. And I also encourage people to set some benchmarks, because it's good for you to know, how am I performing now, and then set yourself some targets. This is how I want to try and perform later, because I'll tell you right now, there is quite a lot of time and effort involved in optimizing. Even if you do it yourself, it's still time. So you want to make sure that the time you're investing is giving you results, right? So we're going to look at that in a second. Second step is strategizing your plan of attack. You've got to go select your keywords and decide on how and where you'll optimize, because there's different approaches. And some of those factors we just saw on the last page, it will determine it. So for instance, if you have a really new website, you can't do well on that factor. So it may be beneficial for you to pay for a Yahoo listing, make sure you get on DMOZ, do all those other factors, because maybe even though someone's got an older site that's performing well, they haven't done those things. And once you do, you might be in a more competitive position. Step 3 is optimizing on page. So I like to use the analogy that if you were going to sell a house, you wouldn't typically just open up the doors and do an open home and do it. You would tidy up, you may give it a paint, you may get the carpets clean, you'd get it in its best possible state to give it its best chance of marketing well and hopefully selling, right? So same thing goes for a website. You optimize on page before you take it off page into the market. So off page in the house scenario could be likened to, going and listing it on the real estate websites and getting signs out there and listings on real estate agents, etc. You're doing things off-site, so to speak. So to get into this, you need to first get your SEO toolkit ready. Now, I'm presuming a lot of you are small businesses, home-based businesses, businesses who maybe not have a lot of marketing budget. Would that be correct? Hands up if that applies to you. So I will tell you, it looks like, yep, lots of hands going up on that one. Cool, I'm glad you're interacting with me lots. It's good to see. Look, there are paid SEO softwares available. I've tried to list some free ones here so that you can do something with them when you don't have much of a budget. But there's also paid ones, and whether you choose to use these or not is up to you. And I'll tell you what, there's a whole lot more not on that list. I've tried to include ones that are fairly low cost, but there's certainly ones that people in the industry, such as my team, do pay a lot of money to use, and whether you see the benefit of doing that is up to you. And I guess that's part of the decision which you'll be encouraged to make as part of the SEO workbook, as to whether with all this knowledge on board you're going to optimize this yourself or get outside help as well, who may have access to these professional softwares, etc. Even so, I still think it's a good idea that you get this knowledge on board so you can direct those people correctly. So there's a list, and a lot of these are mentioned in, not all of them, but a lot of them are mentioned in the workbook which will be provided. And that's what the workbooks are all about, providing activities that you can go through step by step and work through. Okay, now you also need, once you've got the toolkit, you also need a website that will allow you to actually optimize it. And I have worked with people before where I've taught them all the great info in the world, but then they go to apply the knowledge and they actually discover that there's just no way it's possible on the particular website they're on. And it's a bit of a sad story, but I've heard of people saying to a web developer, I want a website built, it needs to be optimized. Are you sure your sites are optimized? And they've said yes, yes, and yes. And they've said, quote me, and they've agreed the quote and they've paid the money and they've got the website. And it's only after that that they've realized through my training and checking out whether it is optimized and what it's optimized for, that had no optimization. And when they've gone back to the web developer and said, you said it was optimized and it's not, and the web developer has said, oh, I thought optimized meant that it looked good, that it was optimized for W3C standards, like design standards. They didn't understand really what optimized meant. They just said all the yeses. So beware of people like that out there. They do exist, unfortunately, which again, this is good that you're getting the knowledge, so hopefully you'll be able to spot them. So an optimizable website will allow you to do some of these things on the screen. Most of them will be web-based and they don't require to be installed on each computer. In my world, way back in, say, 2000, we were working with Dreamweaver and other HTML programs and FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol. So the program had to be on your hard drive, so did the FTP, you would upload the files to the internet. You can optimize some of those sites. It's just clunky, it's labor intensive, and I don't personally recommend them. You also, on an optimizable website, want to be able to change, not only change, but also add and remove text, images, and videos. Sometimes these web developers or companies design these CMS or content management systems so that you can't break it. They're kind of designing it so that it's really limited what you can do, thinking they're being helpful, but also hoping that you'll come back to them and ask them when you want more help, which of course keeps costing you money and is not necessarily ideal. You want to be able to change the text of your navigation bar. That's what's called a dynamic menu usually. And, you know, often people get started with the website and they think, you know, this is what I want. It looks good. It's perfect. It won't need to change. But in my experience, most businesses are pretty dynamic beasts. You know, you move offices, you have new staff, you get new services, you take services off. And if you have to, again, ask the web developer to change those, one, it'll cost you money. But two, if you can't change it because of your SEO strategy, you know, maybe you decide you're going to change your service to be called X rather than Y because X is more competitive for you from an SEO perspective, that's going to make your life difficult as well. You want to be able to edit the alt tags of the images. I'll explain what they are in further slides, but I want you to know that search engines can't read images, so if you put words into alt tags which sit on top of images, they can pick up extra words to see if that site is relevant, therefore rendering it higher on search engines. So some people have found in CMSs that they're actually not able to alter those because it hasn't been added as part of the development of a content management system. You also need to, and this is extremely important, this one, edit the page titles, descriptions and URLs of the page. Some websites, for instance, when it comes to the URL, you'll create a new page, say, it'll allow you to do that. The page will have to be called 362014.html, something that's not really search engine friendly. Ideally, you want to be able to create URLs which are slash words which are relevant to your business. So if I was creating a site on website design, it would be slash webdesign.html, not slash 100426, etc. Ideally, you'll be able to create redirects to pages using the 301 standard. What that means is if old pages on your website are indexed, this is particularly important for a revamp or a rehash of an existing website. Let's say your old site, you couldn't create those search engine friendly URLs, but on this new whiz-bang system you can. You don't want to lose any rankings you've managed to achieve with those not so ideal URLs. So using a 301 redirect, it's called, it can be actioned in Google Webmaster, and you may need a little bit of technical expertise on this. You can actually say if they're looking for that page, if they find that page, send them over to this new page, which means you just don't lose any ground, which is a good idea. And also, ideally, you can create new sections and pages on your website. So who's confident that they've got a website right now and they can do all of these things that if I was to teach you SEO now, you could go ahead and do it with no problems. If you're not confident, you're just not sure, these are some of the questions I want you to go ahead and start looking into. Okay, now this tool here is just a quick screenshot. It's Google Keyword Tool. So out of all those tools I showed you just before, this is a free one. So you can see here, let's say you're a real estate agent, you can enter what we call a broad phrase, so encompassing obviously everything related to real estate. If you're not sure what words to go for, this tool's really good for giving you ideas. So you type in real estate, click Get Keyword Ideas, and up comes a series of ideas. So I'm going to get Jag to send you through a link to this tool right now. So you have it there, you can bookmark it and start playing with it. Now this tool is actually designed for Google AdWords. It tells you if you were to advertise, what position you could get, how much you'd pay for it, how much competition, and if it's fully green, there's a lot of competition, which unsurprising is very strong for real estate. How many people were searching for it in the previous month, average search volume, when it goes up and down, the highest volume and so on. But what I tend to use this tool for is just to get ideas on keywords, because it's really handy. You enter the broad phrase, it gives you a list, and you can actually export all of those words into Excel and then start deleting the ones which maybe aren't at all relevant, or maybe which you think are too competitive. And I'm going to give you some ideas shortly as well on how to choose those words. Now here's another option. You can actually choose by website content, put a page in, and it'll say, well, if that's the page you want to optimize, these are the words that it's kind of already featuring. You might want to build on that. And if you're sort of thinking along those lines, how many people are actually searching for it? Because there's no point optimizing if nobody's actually looking at that. So just confirming that Jag has sent that tool through. Has it gone through, Jag? Good. He's given me the thumbs up. Great. We will move on. Okay, so you get your keyword ideas from, say, a tool like that and or others. And these are the things you want to watch you don't do. So single word terms. So for instance, that one I gave you before, builder, would probably not be any good because you'll be up against every builder, not only in your state, but also Australia and also the world. And there's also, of course, different types of builders, not just, I guess, what we automatically think of. It could be car builders or builders of robots and all sorts of things. The second point there, terms that are way too broad and not focused on what you offer. So let's say you were a real estate agent. I would have thought real estate was too broad, and it's not necessarily just what you offer. So we want to narrow it down. So here's an example here that I think really illustrates these points. If you were to go for writer, which is a broad phrase, at that point in time on Google, there would be 11,600,000 sites you would be competing against. If you were to get a little bit more specific with real estate writer, 1.2 million. So that's kind of cool. If you would then go for freelance real estate writer, because that's really what you are, 48,000. Now we're getting somewhere. And if you went for freelance real estate writer, Los Angeles, or whatever area you are in Queensland right now, there would be a lot less. So I guess you need to run this, and then for me it would be deciding, am I going for that or that? Maybe you're going for both. But as I mentioned earlier, sometimes putting in an area can be quite helpful, but certainly 3 or 4, and that's just an indication that it'll depend on industry and the words you're going for. Words could be more advantageous than going for the single word. Don't go for these highly competitive words which you can't hope to rank well for. I know, for instance, mortgage broking. You know, mortgage brokers do a lot of online advertising. They've been into it for a while, and as a result, there's a lot of them in there doing it, so it's harder to optimize for. Jewellery is another one. You know, it's a big ticket item that if they make a sale, they well and truly get lots of money back. So if you were going to be, say, a jeweller, I would be optimizing by location or perhaps by the particular type of jewellery that you have on offer. Does that make sense, everyone? Getting some ideas here? Very good. Thanks for sticking with me. Okay, now to get into some nitty-gritty. Now, I've got a screenshot on there of a CMS or content management system. So this is the back end of your website. Now, I can't say that your website will look like this. I can't say that this is how you'll do it. But this particular CMS I really like because it's so easy. How it actually features is above there is the word content. So you log in to the back end of your website, you click on a page, and you have that page content up the top, and then just underneath it you've got the meta title, keywords, and description. And this system actually gives you an indication of what this stuff is if you can't remember. So this is the page title as seen in the top bar, and also how you should do it. So in here it says 3 to 7 keywords. So let's go through how to optimize on page. Now I need you to understand too that Google and other search engines, they index pages, not just a website as a whole. So you might have one page on your website, may well be an inside page, not even the home page, that ranks really well on Google. And that's great, that's fine. So really as part of your strategy, you need to identify a number of pages, maybe you start off with 5, that if they were optimized and performing well would be really useful to you because they are often your core products or your core service offerings. And maybe optimize 5 really well and then move on to the next 5. Set yourself goals, maybe 5 a week or 5 a month or something like that. And on each of these pages, we're going to change the page title. So the very first words we put in is always the thing you most want to be found for. So in this case, this client wants to be found for Day Spa Sunshine Coast, right? And then secondly, Sunshine Coast Spa. So it goes down in order. Keywords are often similar to the meta title. And then the description, that's what features on the search engine. So you know when you've got a list and it gives you a link and it tells you a bit about that website and you decide what to click on based on what it says. If it just says homepage, come to our day spa, that's not very exciting. So it's got to be a combination of keywords, the description, but also some salesy, compelling reason to use you, to come to you, to inquire with you. So maybe it is award-winning, maybe it is most affordable, maybe it is best value or something like that. So include that in the description and that should really help you. Now, apart from optimizing each page, and if you've got a big website, I appreciate you've got a big job ahead of you. So again, you know, bite it off in chunk sizes, do it bit by bit, and or get help in, because that can, you know, often the money you spend, if you're going to get someone to do it, optimizing it, you'll get back in profile and business. So if you see the benefit of that, then that's consideration. Apart from all that metadata we've just looked at, you need to optimize the keyword density. Now what that means is, on the words on a page, what percentage is that certain keywords are going for? So here's an example for a website in Queensland called cityfertility.com.au. As the name suggests, they're a fertility clinic. Now the types of words they want to optimize for is fertility and IVF, for example. So if I was to tell you you want to aim for 3 to 4% keyword density on any given page, you need to pick that word that you want to go for on that page and then make sure that within the content, the words on the page, that word is featured 3 to 4% of the time. Now if it's any more, you could be considered spamming and Google will actually not list the site, so it could work against you. So don't overdo it, and if you underdo it, you might not get any results at all. So you can see here this page has been optimized and they've got a 4.1% frequency of the word fertility being mentioned on that page. So that's good. We're in our 3 to 4%. And then secondly, they've got IVF mentioned 3.5% of the time. So that's also good. If people are searching those things, they can tick the box that they're optimized in terms of keyword density. Now, you could sit there counting how many times the words you want to go for is listed, but that would be really tiring and annoying. It wouldn't be a very nice job. So you can also go to this great site, textilizer.net. It's free, and you can throw in either a body of text that you've written on Word, say, Microsoft Word, or you can throw in a website link and it will analyze it for you and give you the percentages so that you know whether you need to optimize it more, mention that word more, or take it out a bit because you've actually overdone it. So have any of you actually used this tool before? Is this one you've seen before? Gemma has, John has, not many. Look, there might be other tools, and feel free actually, I love this part of group training, to text us in any other tools you use to analyze the keyword density of your website, and we might be able to share those with others because maybe you've discovered some little golden one too. Okay, we will move on. So I did say I would show you alt tags. So alt tags, remember, are how you get images to be seen by the search engines. Now the history of these is actually pretty interesting. They originally were created for people who are vision impaired, using computers and using special software, so that if they highlighted over an image or a website and they really didn't know what it said, so like this, these little yellow things would pop up, and their voice activation software would read out what that said to tell them this is a picture of a dog, a cat, a B&B, or whatever the case may be. So what clever marketing professionals or search engine optimizers discovered is that Google crawled over those as well, and it gave you another little one-up to optimize your site. Now, it's my experience that a lot of web designers and developers aren't diligent enough to create and save images with an appropriate name, and it may be that if you want that done, you'd have to ask for it and pay more, because it does take extra time, and that's why a lot of them don't do it. Apart from that, you need to ask and or specify that you want it done, alt tags applied. And if you haven't, a lot of you will probably find it hasn't been done. You'll need to go and actually start doing it yourself, or ask them how much to go ahead and do it. With all of these things, I would be encouraging you to not necessarily do all of this stuff. You need to really weigh up which things are going to have the most impact. So alt tags, I don't know if they would be the first priority thing I'd be working on, but certainly if there's a page that's really important to you, you want to do anything you can to get it to come up, then sure, do it. But there could be other strategies is what I'm suggesting if you're sort of more a beginner level SEO that you could be focusing on first. But you've got two ways to put this alt tag stuff in, either in the code if you're clever, so you can see it goes after the alt bit. So that can look kind of scary, it doesn't need to, just look for the ahref in your code that refers to an image, and then in the alt bit put the words you want to display. And otherwise, some website systems will look something like this. They'll have the file name, the description, you'll be able to put the alt tag caption in there, and then it will just start displaying. So is everyone pretty clear on alt tags then? That makes sense, and we can go ahead and do that if we want to get another one up. Clary thinks so. Cara and Liz, Jody, great. Pretty much what we've just covered is what I deem on-page optimization. So just to recap, we've got the metadata, optimizing the title, the description, the keywords, the keyword density, the alt tags, all that stuff's going to help, and the headers as well. Now we're going to look off-page. So we're presuming if it's the house again, it's been swept, it's been painted, they've even got the fake furniture in and the pot plants and things to make it look extra good to what it normally does. Now we're ready to go off-page. So if you're pretty confident, you've already got metadata applied, you've already got keyword density covered, maybe this is more of the strategy that you need to focus on. I'd certainly be doing the other stuff first. So we've talked about DMOZ and that being free. That's one strategy. Blogs. Now blogs are pretty popular these days, and some people have pretty big blog followings. So for instance, I know of a woman who recently won Australian Blogger of the Year, Nikki Parkinson, and she's based here on the coast. So she writes a blog all about fashion and beauty. Now, if you've got a website selling, let's say, a fashion or beauty-related product, you could do well to try and get her to mention your business and have a link to your business on her blog. That would be an incoming link, and that would help your optimization. And the more times you're featured, the more Google thinks, wow, these guys are in with everyone. They're mentioned all the time. They're pretty important. Throw them up higher on the search engines. This is kind of how this stuff works. Moving along, there's free directories, and there's lots of these. If you were to type into Google now, free business directory, or maybe even industry specific, free personal training directory or fitness directory, it'll give you a lot of options. And if you can make the time and effort to go through and enter your name in those, or maybe delegate that to someone else in your office, or maybe even get someone to give you some help with that kind of thing, perhaps a work experience student, intern, or so on, that will also help the optimization of your site, because it's all about increasing online presence. So it has a number of effects. One, that link back to your site impacts on how well you rank on Google and other search engines. But two, people might be on HotFrog looking for a specific service and they find you. But three, I really like this method, I try and saturate Google. So the ideal is that someone searches a certain key phrase, your website comes up, your social networks come up, directories come up that you're on. So in short, whichever one people click on, they find you. How good would that be? You've saturated the market completely. Moving on, social media. That's another reason to use these things, is that you can be mentioning different links on your website. You know, click here to read an article on this. Click here to see our latest product release. Click here to, I don't know, buy this product, register for an event. There's lots of things you can be promoting on the social networks which are bringing them back to your website. And I will tell you, with the benefit of looking at lots of people's statistics at the moment, previously there was no traffic from social media because it didn't exist. Then I started seeing small percentages of traffic, say 2% and 5% of traffic each month coming from social networks to their website. Those numbers are creeping into double digits as a very general statement. So if you want more traffic to your website, that's something that you would like, you really need to think about these social networks, I remind you yet again. Look, strategic alliances. So is there anybody in business that you do business with that could mention your business and send it back to yours? And if they've been around a while and they have a reputable website and a good reputation, that will help your optimization as well. So take a look at that. Apart from the free directories I've mentioned, there's actually paid directories as well, and some are very good. homeimprovementpages.com.au is quite a popular one, for instance, for the whole trades industry. So, you know, you've got electricians and flooring specialists and solar people and all sorts of people on that one. I know there's natural therapy pages is quite a big one for anyone who offers holistic therapies and that kind of thing. And there's a range of others. So go out and Google yourself and look for those directories, and I guess evaluate whether you have the budget and you think it would be worthwhile going on them. Look, as an indication, a lot of them are only $200–300 a year. I find that a lot of business owners I talk to balk at that. They say, oh, but that's a lot of money. Yet they'll rush out and spend $600 on a newspaper ad, which is there once and only a certain number of people see it. I like the fact that with directories, a lot more people tend to see it, and that you can get the statistics to prove how many actually saw it and took action. I really like that accountability and feedback, so take a look at that. Getting a Google profile is another way that you can get more optimized. I'm going to send you a link here, google.com/profiles. So there it is on its way to you. That's where you get a Google profile. This is just a way of telling Google who you are and what you do. So get a company one, get an individual one if it's you yourself promoting in business. We've talked about Yahoo directory, so I'll skip that. Forums. Forums is another place where you can be telling people about your product or service and providing links back to the site. So, you know, people go on forums and they have problems, they have issues, and they go on them because they want someone to respond and help them out. So let's say someone's on there saying, I've got a terrible beauty spot and I want to get it removed. I don't know what options are available to me. Let's say you're a laser surgery clinic or something like that. You could go on there and say, we offer free no obligation appointments. Here's our website link. And that could be quite helpful for you as well. And then the next person who has that problem, she might find that forum thread and see your answer, and you get that business anyway. So that can be helpful. The next two topics are quite big topics unto themselves. There's also things like article directories, and I'll send you a couple of links of some examples. There's this one, ezinearticles.com is quite a popular one. It's been around for quite a number of years. There's also this one, squidoo.com. And we actually list a whole lot more of them in the workbook that you'll get as well. But if you like writing, you want to be the obvious expert in your field, maybe you already have a lot of articles you've written for newspapers or other things, I suggest you copy those and get them onto article directories, all linking back to your site again, because that is going to help, again, with your optimization. And a lot of those sites have very high PR ranks, those page rank mentions again. Finally, PR newswires. If your company's done something new, interesting, unique, you could write a press release, which is what the PR stands for, or public relations it can stand for as well, and get it out via a newswire. Now these things work really well on a number of levels. Has anyone heard of them out of interest? Anyone use PR newswires already? Gemma does, Fiona does. Not so many of you. Well, these are good for optimization, but they're also good just for promoting your business. So, you know, let's say your company hires a new staff or wins an award or has an event coming up. You could write a press release about that, basically a one-page article, and upload it to some PR newswires, which will help because they're linking back to your site. But again, someone might be searching for that online and they find it there and come back to you. So look, there's lots of these. I'll just text you a couple that you can go have a look at. There's New Zealand, sorry, not New Zealand, there's Aussie ones, there's American ones, there's ones for specific industries. So Google around, and like I said, there's lots of links to these within the workbook we'll be sending out soon to give you a few more ideas as well. So is that helpful stuff? Now, I think you're getting the picture from some of the stuff I've covered that really with search engine optimization and just good internet marketing practice, we're really at the stage where you need to be a publisher. You need to be publishing everything and everywhere. And as to what is realistic for you to pull off in your working day, because you do need to balance this with other things like finance and HR and just keeping the business going, publish stuff that suits you and depends on your industry. Let's say you're an artist and you've got amazing artwork that you're trying to showcase. Some of the ones that might suit you on here, for instance, would be Flickr, because that's a big online photo gallery, and certainly if you optimize that well, people might find that image and then come back to you and ask you about those art pieces and whether they can buy them. If you're doing events, upcoming.org, it is more of an American site, but it does certainly cover Brisbane and some of the major cities. List your events on places like that. You do presentations. You do, like what I'm doing now, a PowerPoint, and you want people to find that knowledge and share that knowledge, and that helps them get to you and you get more business. SlideShare is a really good option. If you record videos of what you do, or you're happy to, Vidler, Blip TV, YouTube are just a few of the great video type portals out there that you can post onto. And there's others there to explore, but in short, get creating, get publishing, link back to your website, and it all helps the cause very much so. Now finally, with all of this, you do need to monitor whether it's working or not, because it's great to go out and do all this work, but you need to know if it's been worthwhile. So here's 2 free tools provided by Google. They don't just do search engines, they do a lot of other stuff too. Google.com/analytics is a free statistical program, and you can see a screenshot on there. Hands up out of interest, who's already got Google Analytics installed on their website? I'll tell you what, people, out of everything I've spoken about today, I recommend you all get that as a priority, because the sooner you know how your website's performing, the sooner you know what you can do to improve it. So Google Analytics, you can either go to google.com/analytics, set up an account, grab the code and put it onto your website, and they provide you with some pretty good instructions. But if you are finding that a little bit difficult, you may need to seek some professional advice. And someone doing that, they may not charge you because it takes them 5 minutes, or they may actually charge you for that. That would really be at their discretion. Another tool which we go into in more depth in the workbook, we just won't have time in this 1-hour webinar, is google.com/webmasters. Hands up if you use Google Webmaster Tool already. A few of you. That's usually not as many people as Google Analytics. Google Webmasters is designed for webmasters, but you as the business owner of your website, you're all webmasters as far as I'm concerned. What it does is, similar to Analytics, you set up on there, you verify, you grab the code and put it on your website. It then knows that you are really the webmaster of that website. It gives you feedback on whether there's broken links or issues which are preventing your website from indexing well. So it's trying to be helpful. So it's really worth installing to get that feedback on your site and how you can make it better. Because if you make it better for Google, then you're going to come higher on the search engines, which is pretty useful stuff. All right, so just to summarize, some of the things we've covered today is we encourage you to analyze your website's current performance, and there's a number of workbook exercises which will be coming through. So if you can make a commitment to go through and do those, at least you'll know where you're starting from. We also give you some ideas in the workbook of how to analyze your competitors, because these 2 steps will help you strategize the way you're going to go about optimizing. Next up, do some keyword research, so using some of those free or paid tools we showed you, and choose which keywords you're going to use to apply to your website. We then do the on-page optimization, the metadata, etc. And like I said, do it in chunk sizes, so maybe 5 pages and then another 5 pages later, so that it becomes manageable. Because if anything like me, you have a 200-page website, that's going to be a lot of time on the computer. Then we do the off-page optimization, and if you're actually at the point where you've optimized on-page and it's off-page activities, you want to make this part of your weekly activities or somebody's job description. Make a commitment to do that, and again, monitor the bottom part, how that's working out for you. Are those activities worthwhile? And creating content. Publish it everywhere. I gave you quite a few examples today of where you might be able to publish. So don't go away. We've got questions now, and even if you don't have a question, I'd love you to stay on because you can learn a lot from questions. So those of you who have your hands up, you can put them down unless you have a question right now. So just click on it again. But if I see your hand up, I'm going to start unmuting you one by one and seeing how I can help, and I sure hope I can. Okay, let's start from the A's. Alan has his hand up. Let's unmute Alan Irving. Are you there, Alan? Can you hear me, Alan?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise I had my hand up.
Okay, Alan, I'll put you down. Just put your hand down and I'll mute you again. Thanks anyway. Going down to Diane Fligo, I'm going to unmute you. Hi, Diane, can you hear me? Diane, are you with us?
Is that me?
It sure is you. Diane, did you have a question?
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I'm a victim of the same mistake there. But I guess I do have a question in relation to, I'm sorry I came in a little bit late to the webinar. Just got a little bit held up, so I have missed the first part of this. Just perhaps a question, will your slideshow be available to us with the workbook, etc.?
Certainly
will
will
there
be.
be some other information?
Yes,
Yes,
the full webinar is being recorded and it will be made available on our YouTube account, and you'll be notified of where that is, and the workbook will be made available in the next couple of days as well.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that.
No problem. I'll just mute you again. And I'll move on down to Gavin Merritt. Gavin, are you there?
Oh, hi. I must have had my hand up by mistake as well. Sorry.
Okay, everyone who's got their hand up by mistake, put those hands down, because if they're up right now, I'm thinking you've got a question. I'm actually going to get Jag to send through a little survey, because I can see a couple of people are jumping off. Please, before you jump off, and I understand with it being lunchtime, you may have to get going, I'd love you to just spend 5 minutes telling me how you found the session today, because we're always trying to improve these. So just answer it. Won't take you long at all. There's that link that's just gone through now. Okay, I'm going to stay in question mode, and like I said, if you can hang around, it's a good idea to, because we've got upcoming sessions to share with you, to tell you when they're on, and also it's good to learn from other people. Okay, Gemma, you've had your hand up. In fact, I've noticed you've been very interactive all webinar. How are you? Gemma, are you there? Gemma, we got a question? Maybe some issues with her mic. Last chance, Gemma, you got a question? Not having much luck here, are we? How about John Casey? Are you there, John?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I sure can. How can I help you today, John?
Backlinks. You were talking about backlinks previously. I've always had a bit of a problem with just sending out a request to people that you just don't know. It almost seems to me like everybody wants them, but you send out a request for a backlink to somebody and they just say, oh, who the hell are you? You know, why would we want to? Is there such a thing as a directory of people, you know, who are commonly wanting backlinks? I would think that there'd be people both ends wanting backlinks for this very reason. But
there are, John. Look, there's things called link farms, which we mentioned in the workbook. You actually want to be a bit wary of, because if you get too many links and they're from unreputable places, and it's too easy, then Google can actually penalise you on that front. So do read that section of the workbook. What it does require, as you've picked up on, is having someone on the same page as you that understands the benefit and that will take the time to do it. The ideal scenario, and what you'll probably find, is if you optimise more and improve your page rank, you'll actually have people approach you, which is a really ideal scenario to be in. You don't have to go chasing them, they come to you. That's what we're gunning for. I guess it probably comes down to the way you're requesting the links as well. I probably want to see the template or the letter that you're sending them. And I can certainly provide, as part of the workbook, some sample templates of things that I know have worked for other people in the past, and maybe that might be helpful to you as well.
yeah, it's the thing that I've actually found the most difficult. The rest of it is, yeah, very time consuming, but you can actually do. The backlinks is you're relying on other people who may or may not be interested, and I've found that my strike rate on backlinks is, well, I'm not I'm tempted to say zero, but very, not quite, but very low. And that's like if there's 70 people here, I think we're all going to be in the same boat. We're all probably like-minded, but like it just seems to me to be the one that if there was some sort of solution to that was realistic and easy, it would be pretty advantageous.
Sure. Well, look, if anyone finds a link directory that is reputable and worth looking at, I'd love them to share it with the group. Share it maybe with Dee Dee and they'll forward it on. We can get it out to all of you. But I'm very wary of some like the link farm scenarios because they can be not so good. Look, there's other options to just requesting links in that way. There's all these PR directories and the article directories and the other plain directories. Are ways to get backlinks without asking anyone. You just literally go and sign up and list yourself. So that's a strategy. Are you doing that already?
Yeah, I am. But actually, I've found also that the ones that have come to me have been. I've had some pretty dodgy ones. As like you do get a lot of pretty ordinary and dodgy sort of sites that aren't quite prepared to link with you. I mean, I guess it's if I go a bit further, it's trying to find quality sites that are worthwhile linking to rather than just anything. And there's plenty of sites that you can link with.
Well, it's an important point you've made there, John, is you really need to get very relevant sites. So whatever your industry is, you need to be focusing on ones ideally in that industry that have similar or complementary content, not just any old thing. So you've really hit the nail on the head there. John, I'd really like to give other people an opportunity, so I hope some of those things were useful, and like I said, I can supply some templates, maybe take a look at the way you're asking for them, and then, like I said, I can only suggest that if people know of directories like you're asking for that are reputable to send them on, but I'm not aware of any at this point in time.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, moving down to Judy Bedford. She's had her hand up patiently. Judy, are you there? Hello, Judy. Hi, Judy. Not having much luck there. Moving down to Lee Gammond. Are you there?
Hi, hi, how are you going?
Good, thank you, Lee. How can I help you today?
Something I'm concerned about, being a small business, I've paid to get a website set up using an OS Commerce template. I'm using a PHP structure, and I don't understand the implications of using the PHP structure. Does that have any implication on search optimization compared to HTML?
Look, I've heard of OS Commerce. I've not used it, so I'm not sure of what its SEO functions features are. I think you would do well to go onto Google and search, is search engine optimization possible on OS Commerce websites? And I'd say you'll probably turn up a bunch of forums where people are discussing that sort of thing.
Okay.
And I would look at the dates on some of those posts and see whether they are recent, or because if you get ones from 2008, well, they may have sorted issues out since then. If you can find anything really recent, that would probably give you some suggestions. But good point, like maybe even though it's free or seemingly good in other respects, if it's not optimizable, it may not be the right solution for you if getting up on search engines is important.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay, that was Lee. I think Kylie might have a question now. Kylie Nash, are you there?
Yeah, hi, how you going?
Good, thanks, Kylie. How can I help?
That's good. I've just got a question about Google Webmaster Tools. You can see the crawling statistics and stuff through your site, and there's also a submit a sitemap function there.
That's right.
And yeah, I just wondered if you are uploading new products all the time or making changes, making announcements, making changes to your blog, all that sort of stuff regularly, how often should you be submitting a sitemap to Google? Will they penalise you if you do it once a week or once a month, or what are their rules about that?
My understanding is that you submit it once, and it actually, that's the whole benefit of it, is it's talking to live data on your website. Now, I can double check that, but I don't think you have to submit it regularly. I think it knows that you're adding your site and it indexes quickly, which is why you want to use Google Webmaster in that submit a sitemap tool in the first place. So,
okay.
yeah.
So I can't see that my website had a sitemap submitted in the first place. I'm not sure how to find out whether it has or it hasn't, but if I did submit one, there wouldn't be any harm in doing that, would there?
No harm at all. And in fact, because you happen to work with us, we can do that for you and just, yeah, that should start like talking.
Because what I've noticed is in the organic search results, I find that if I make an announcement, I can see that indexed within probably maybe 5 to 7 days. So I know it's going through there. But I don't always see new products. Like if I upload a product, I don't always see a new product up in the search results.
Sure.
In the same time frame.
I think because your query is so specific to your particular website, Kylie, that we'll answer that one privately. But I totally get what you're talking about, so I'll make sure that someone from here gets back to you on that one. Okay.
All right. Can I just ask one more question? I don't want to hog the whole thing. I just have a question about the header tags. Like that you had on that previous screen, like header 1, header 2, and there's 3 and 4, etc.
Yes.
Is it true that you really only need to, or you should only have one H1 header tag per page? Otherwise, you're sort of considered to be a bit spammy.
Yeah, that's right. You could confuse Google because typically a site would have a main heading and then subheadings, if anything. So, yeah, you would normally have a H1, H2, H3 and so on. So that's right.
Yeah.
One H1 tag, putting in the words you really want. So on the home page, you don't necessarily have welcome because that's not, who wants to optimize for that. You would have, accountant, Kawana or whatever you wanted to optimize for.
Yeah, so if you wanted something on the screen to stand out, you're best off just to bold it or do something like that rather than changing the header tag, like changing the size of it or whatever.
You could just style it a little bit using your WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get.
Okay, awesome.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your questions. Okay, moving down to, I hope I say this right, is it Maya? Maya? Are you there? Maya, I've unmuted you. If you could speak, that would be great and we can help you out. Everyone has their audio configured differently, so that's why we sometimes do this and it doesn't work. We'll mute you again because it didn't seem to be working. How about Marie Bell? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Marie. How can I help you today?
Thanks, Yvette. We have an online shop that sells products, toys, so I put the, I do the meta tags and header titles and everything, but there seems to be some dispute over how many keywords you would put for one product. So I just thought you might know, should I be putting, like we sell wooden toys, would I put more than one keyword or just the one?
You can put combinations of a little bit of information is 3 to 7 keywords in a sort of keyword area of it, but you wouldn't want to do too many more than that. You can do less, but if you do a couple of different variations, then you have a chance of picking up both of those.
Great. And do you need plurals? Or does Google automatically do that for you?
It's my understanding that it will pick it up because if those words will be within the plural, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, no, you don't need to.
Thanks very much. That's all I needed to know.
You're very welcome. Okay, muting Marie and unmuting Maria Perkins. Are you there? Maria? No, Maria? Talking up? We'll move on. How about Maureen Seller? Can I help you in any way, Maureen?
Even if Leon puts me onto T drive for the day.
Maureen, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, no, I think, I'm sorry, I really enjoyed your session.
Good.
I think I've got my hand the wrong way around.
Okay.
Very interesting, very good.
Oh, very good.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks a lot. How about you, Nicole? You've just got a hand up. Are you ready to ask a question?
Yes, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Fire away.
Excellent. I've just launched a new pajama label, and it's like we deliver to all over Australia and internationally as well. So I'm not really location specific. So I was wondering if Google Maps is worth me doing.
I would still put your name down on Google Maps because is it a home-based business, can I ask?
Yes.
Do you mind people knowing where you live, or you'd rather not?
I don't mind, like I'm based on the Gold Coast, like that, I don't mind that people know that, but I don't want to give out anything too more specific than that.
Okay. You'll have to experiment because they've changed this. Like, for instance, one part you could do PO boxes, and that might have suited you. And then I think it is possible, because they recognise that some people run businesses from home and don't want their exact street or unit address. I think it is possible to just mention suburb, and it'll just put you in the dot of the middle of that suburb, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
I reckon you should, because if you can get local business, then great. And you can also pick up things like local media by being on there. They go searching on Google as well. If they're looking for, let's say, a fashion, retail, pajama even person,
yeah,
and they turn you up and you get the article, then great. You know, that's all good for business as well. And then hopefully your business goes so well as you build your global empire, you might have other offices. So then you can list each and every one of those on Google Maps as you grow.
Oh, well, you've got me pinned exactly. That's exactly what I want to do.
Cool. Well, that's how you do it then. So, yeah, I suggest you do go on Google Maps.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on down to, we have Ross Graham. Ross, you've been waiting patiently.
Hi, Yvette. How are you?
Good, thank you, Ross. Where are you calling from, out of curiosity? I've been meaning to ask people that.
Northwest Tasmania.
Oh, my gosh, of all places.
Moved down from Brisbane 15 months ago to buy a vineyard.
Oh, lucky you. So how can I help you today?
Well, just with strategic alliances, I had been told that you shouldn't have links from your site to other people's sites because people will link to the other site and go off into the ether. But I've found that having a link to and a heading on my website saying affiliates to, for example, the local Chamber of Commerce has been quite beneficial. And with our vineyard, now sell a door to the local tourism bureau, Tourism Tasmania, or to industry bodies. I mean, am I on the right track? Or?
Yeah, look, there's no harm at all, like you say, putting these links up. It's not going to penalise your site or anything like that. It's just that a lot of people go out and spend a lot of time and effort on making this links page thinking it's going to help their search engine optimisation, which it's not. It will help the people you're linking to. But you will get a benefit, like you've already pointed out. If they're the right types of people you're listing, you get credibility because people see that, you know, you are part of the chamber and these other networks, and therefore that, you know, raises you in their eyes. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. But I would be asking for what's called reciprocal where possible, that if you're linking to them, would they please link back to you, as that will directly help your search engine optimization efforts.
Yeah, that was my next question. What incentives or how do you encourage them to do that?
Just a simple email saying, you know, I have recently linked to your site as can be seen, and then provide the link. I would love it if you could reciprocate by listing my website on yours, and have a happy day. Just keep it nice and light, and ask very kindly, and hopefully they'll see the benefit of doing that and appreciate that you have. If they haven't had SEO training, it can be a bit more of an uphill battle. But for some people, if they've got sort of a dedicated administration person in place, that's no trouble at all, and they go ahead and action it. Depends how easy it is for them to administrate their websites as well.
Fantastic.
Okay, good luck.
Enjoying the programs thoroughly.
Oh, good. Thanks a lot, Ross. Thanks for your feedback. All right, Tracy, you're going to be our last question today. How can I help you? Are you still there? Tracy Blair, you've got your hand up. Can you hear me? Don't seem to be getting Tracy coming on through, so I think we might wrap it. Gosh, that was a lot of questions, but I think we did pretty well. We got through each and every one of them. Look, for those of you who've managed to stay on, I do appreciate that. You're benefiting from knowing that we've got more sessions coming up. Look at all of them. For the first time ever, we're doing a workplace health and safety one. If you had seen previous advertising, it was to be Wednesday 25th of May. It's now Tuesday the 24th, reason being Game 1 of State of Origin on Wednesday. We thought that wasn't wise. We've then got a financial one. Hey everyone, the end of financial year is coming up. You want to make sure 2011/12 is a great financial year for you. Get on that one. I've referred already to the local search marketing one on 6th June. If you haven't already, register for that now, please. Financial management, that's a bit more in depth than the earlier management one on finance. I really think all business owners can benefit on this, and love you to help me spread the word to your friends and family and colleagues as well. And planning your successful business is the last one we have scheduled at this stage, but you never know, there could be more. A reminder, these are all free. They're all at times, either lunch times or after work, where we hope you can join us, and you can register right there on that website, business.qld.gov.au. Now, I want you to know as well, help is available. If you've got other business questions, things you need help with, business.qld.gov.au is quite an incredible resource. Jump on there, search things. They have templates, they have articles, they have links to other sites. You would be crazy not to use this as a resource. Otherwise, you'll be searching online all sorts of websites and getting confused. This is great quality information. And business hotline, 1300 363 711. You can call that any time that you want to find out something about business. And if they don't know, they'll put you on to somebody who does. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed presenting this topic, and be reminded that the survey link has been texted to you. You will be reminded via email as well. We'd really love it if you could fill that in. It is part of our requirement as our contract with DD to gather as many responses as we can and report back to how everyone found the session. So please, we need that to keep these going and show that they're valuable to you. So if you could take the time, only take a few minutes. So just to wrap up, once again, thanks for getting on. Hope to see you on future sessions, and hope you got a lot out of today. Good afternoon.